So yeah, now we're back after the break with Holger's talk, which is about preserving other build artifacts. And yeah, stage is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So first I wanted to give a talk about reproducible builds 10 years and beyond. But that talk was accepted, but this workshop not. And so I asked for this workshop. And as workshop in these big rounds are very difficult, this is more or less a talk again. Anyhow, you might know me. I've been working on Debian since some time. I've been working on reproducible builds now in the 10th year. And reproducible builds is a very complex topic, so please feel free to ask me anything, probably outside the talk, inside the talk, I don't care. So, about you. Who knows about reproducible builds? Yay! So you had me before or someone else. Who knows about the Debian archive kit, DAC? Few people. Who knows about Debian build-D infrastructure? Who knows about automatic debug packages, how they work? 2, 3 people, 4. Who knows Julian Christou and or dpackage dist-add file? Because that was, I will come to that later. That's the workshop part or something. About this workshop, I get to that in 5 minutes maybe. How to preserve other build artifacts. But first, some context why I'm interested in that. Reproducible builds. The problem. Source code of free software is available. Most people install precompiled binaries. No one really knows whether they really correspond, even those building the binaries. And as a result, there are various supply chain issues. There's supply chain attacks. So reproducible builds. When is a build reproducible? Given the same sources, the same build environment and build instructions, any party can recreate bit-by-bit identical copies of all specified artifacts. And it's a bit more complicated, but yeah, you know this. And by 2024, this is widely understood. We have lots of documentation, we have resources, we have done scientific publications. The White House has taken notice and demands this as well since 2021. So this is all nice. This is Debian unstable since 2015. The green is the reproducible packages, oranges are unreproducible, and red fail to build. And, oh yeah, this is Trixie now, and this is the ARM HFT64 transition, by the way, which is mostly done now in Trixie. There's still 100 or 200 left, but on the large scale it's gone. So that's all nice, and over since Stretch, we progressed quite nicely. These are the number of reproducible and unreproducible packages. If you really look at the unreproducible one, we've come down to 600 unreproducible packages in Trixie currently, which is really nice. Yeah, this is this again. And then there's the problem that what we've done here, these are all CI continuous integration builds. We don't try to rebuild what Debian distributes, we just do 2 builds with maximal variation to find whether packages are reproducible under all circumstances, but we want real builders who try to mimic this, what the Debian archive does. We call those real rebuilders. And we had these rebuilders. This is actually Rebuilding Debian, done by Frédéric Perrier. And it looked nicely, but it was broken then because Snapshot stopped working. But that is fine. Because fixing Snapshot is finally work in progress. There's now several approaches. Linus Nordberg kicked it off a bit more recently. DSA help with Wiesel and Julian Christou. Lukas Nussbaum is trying to get a S3 backend to store Snapshot in Amazon S3. And Noah from Microsoft wants to store it in the Azure cloud. And Lynxes and me are working on the rebuilder Snapshot. So there's at least 3-4 approaches, but they all will take some more months at least, but maybe at the end of the year or in 2 months or whatever. So it's fine, as I said. Yeah. And Debian testing migrations, since the end of 2023, the CI reproducible build results are included in the excuses of testing migration. There's no penalty or bonus yet, but you can see it there. And I hope that when we start working on Forky, the release after Trixie, that there will be penalties for violating that packages which are reproducible must not regress, and that new packages, that they must be reproducible. That's hopefully and this will just be penalties for the testing migration, hopefully coming next year. So that is also nice. And at first there could probably be whitelisting of some packages which we really need and which we cannot drop. So policy. 7 years ago we added for policy that packages should build reproducible. And I hope then for the Forky release cycle we say packages must not regress. And we equally say new packages must build reproducible. I hope we can do this next year. I'm optimist, and I hope after the Forky release for Forky +1, we can then finally say packages must build reproducible. And because I want to get to 100%. And 100% is a political decision in my book and nothing technical, because there will always be violators, and at some point we'll just say policy, it must be, and that is not a technical discussion, that's a policy discussion. So we need to change Debian policy. And we can work around must-have offenders using whitelist in the beginning. Whatever. If the Linux kernel, GCC, LibreOffice, Firefox are unreproducible, okay, fine. Let them in. Have a whitelist first. The goal is still 100%, and whitelists are just a means to achieve that. Because then we can exclude the others and only have very few offenders. But whitelists are only delays but no fixes. Fixes are either fixes or removals of these packages, and not say, oh, this package is important, it can violate the rules. So, other build artifacts, that's why all you are here. And other significant problems. I'll ignore other significant problems today, but they exist. Signed shim and modules, which rebuilders to trust. There are still other issues for reproducible builds. But let's get to these other build artifacts finally. So build artifacts are normally the deb files and the changes files and build info files and the source files and stuff. And then there's one and only one build log file. And you can put whatever output into this one build log file, and that works for many packages, but there's nothing else. So some people who need other artifacts invented unreproducible workarounds and store these build artifacts in the deb file to get them out of the build-ds. And this problem is described on wiki-debian.org build artifacts. This is what this talk is about, and at the moment it's just a description of the problem. And this should have the solution of the problem eventually as well. So this wiki page mentions 2 source packages, binutils and the various GCC packages, which store build artifacts in their binary deb packages. And we cannot whitelist these packages forever if we want 100% reproducible packages, because we just need GCC. And some people will say LLVM, but yeah. But there's also, the wiki page has more examples. There's verbose build logs from GNOME packages, which are discarded. There's pre-processed sources in TMP-CC out, sometimes when the build fails. The JDK packages would like to store other stuff. So there's a use case for this. And this wiki page has been written by Doku Matthias Klose, who is, among others, the GCC and binutils maintainer. And I trust him that these artifacts are essential for maintaining those, because he has been saying this since 5 years or more, that he needs these artifacts, and it's very complicated for him or annoying to not have them. So even if there's very few packages which need this, I think these packages need it. And then I spoke 2 days ago with some people, and Julian Crisco suggested to use dpackage dist-add files, which can be used to add files to Debian files, which then get picked up by dpackage and are put in the changes file. And then we just need duck to accept those files and make them available somewhere. Easy, done. Yeah, this doesn't work for failed builds, which is also in the proposal from Doku, but we don't have, that would be some new feature anyway, so failed builds maybe not that important, maybe it is, I'm not fully sure. And yeah, so these only need to duck to accept those files and make them available somewhere. Sounds like an easy plan and almost too good to be true, but it's also not that easy to get changes into duck. But this is the proposal I have at the moment for this. I'll send a mail to Debian Devil to suggest this. And I'll have another workshop proposed for debconf 24, where Doku is also there and hopefully somebody from the FTP team, and then we can finalize this, I hope. And so I hope to get to this eventually. And like Trixie only having 200 unreproducible packages, and then really get down quick, just 3-4 Debian releases. But yeah, I don't want to do this forever. That's it for today. Thank you. Any questions, suggestions, anything?
I'm wondering if it's really important to have 100%.
Well, and you need to exclude stuff. I think it's important to have this because else you have these 3 packages which are different and they will introduce the security stuffs.
So because you also said it's not a technical thing, more a political thing to have 100%, I think we had the same discussions in the past with the non-free firmware, and if we had not chosen a practical solution for our users, we would not ship non-free firmware nowadays. And I think with reproducible, it's good, yes, but most of our end users do not care about if a package is reproducible or not.
No, they care about security. Nobody cares about reproducibility.
But if the question or if the 2 options are remove the package because the package maintainer does not have time to make the package reproducible, and then we may remove things, and as you said, we will have some excludes for Firefox, so for the important packages, but what about not important packages? So they may be removed much earlier. So I think if it's a political discussion, we should say, the goal would be 100%, but for practical reason, I would say it doesn't matter if there are like a dozen or even 100 packages that are not reproducible.
Well, for one, Firefox is reproducible, but that's beside the point.
How about having a non-reproducible that's on the same level as non-free?
That might be an idea in a few years. And I think right now most packages are reproducible. There's very few exceptions of useful software which is unreproducible.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So to handle the few that might exist, maybe, or just call them non-free. Because they're, you don't know whether you've got the source, so they're non-free.
I think that feels like we're putting more work on the archive maintainers for maintaining crap. It's like having an archive for software which doesn't support IPv4 or v6. It's like, yeah, you can have this in 24, but really fix your software.
Any more questions? Okay, that doesn't seem. Yeah.
Just a short one. Can you explain just a little bit more about like what kind of build artifacts that are not reproducible but need to be kept these are? I'm not
build logs mostly, and logs have the timestamps, and therefore they are unreproducible.
Okay.
But it's also sometimes the test code is generated during the build, and it's nice to get that out. So it's more than just logs. And also you cannot dump 10 logs in the output, then they are hard to process.
Any more questions about reproducible builds or build artifacts? Yeah.
Turn it on.
Do you see us getting further with profile-guided optimization here, which requires doing some kind of test suite, recording profiling information, which could be then saved as an unreproducible artifact, and then again fed back into the next build to determine the optimization criteria? But that would be kind of part of the build info. Do you have ideas in that direction?
No, not at the moment.
All right. If no one else has any questions so far, that concludes the talk. Thank you, Holger. And yeah.